G'day, I'm Bruce, and today I'm going to see if we can get this V12 Detroit powered dump truck running. It's a Wabco 35, so I don't know whether that means 35 tonne, but this particular truck's got a name, and it's Wally Wabco. So they were probably trucks that were probably made in the 60s and 70s. It's a V12 Detroit engine, pretty big intake manifold and everything, pretty big air cleaner. It's got a plate on the side of the chassis there, but we can't really read the specifications. It's a V12 71 series Detroit, 852 cubic inch and about 425 horsepower from what we can understand. It looks like Wally the Wabco has got the mandatory snake skin, where it looks like the snake's gone up here and shed its skin and gone up into this hole, maybe up into the cab or somewhere. While we're up here, we'll check the radiator. Yeah, it's got water in the radiator, which is a wonder, but it has. It's down a bit, but I can see water there. It's got a hole here in the intake, bit of a rust hole there. Hope it hasn't got water or anything into its engine, but I suppose it's got a bit of a roof over it, but not much. This truck was used in a quarry operation in southeast Queensland. As time went by, they moved into six-wheel drive articulated trucks, something like an A25 Volvo or that style of truck. Yeah, as a result, this truck was just pushed off to the side, and even where it is now, it's been pushed back so they've got a bit of a graded area in front here, but it's just been pushed back with another machine. I don't think it was actually started and driven where it's standing now. Yeah, it looks like these levers that are still free here, which is good. Leaves and junk sitting around there, but looks like a long time since anybody sat in those seats. Look at the layers of dust on that. That's the remains of the snake up on there, snake skin or what. Plenty of play in the steering. This looks like the hydraulic tank. Looking down there, it could be some type of Ellison Auto, I'm not sure. That's the battery compartment. Looks like it hasn't had batteries in there for a long time. There's one lead. There's the other lead. Everything's pretty rusty and seized up. That'll be the negative, I'd say, and that'll be the positive by the size of the ends there. That's the lid off it sitting there. Yep, there's certainly some rust sitting in there. Got a massive radiator out the front here, but I suppose V12 engine, it'll need something pretty big to keep it cool. Be working pretty hard dragging this around full of rock. Radiator looks in pretty good condition too, for something this age. Back when they made stuff to last, I'd say. Yep, would have been a quality bit of equipment in its day, all right. If you had something like this, well, you'd probably thought you were pretty well off. Well, that's the exhaust on it. A pretty decent sized muffler on it, isn't it? Yeah, she's a pretty big unit, all right. Look at the size of the muffler on it. Detroit engine. Something rather New South Wales. Maybe that's where it's been reconditioned at one stage. Just going to try and get some of this dirt off this big hose up here. And see if I can pull that dipstick out without putting dirt on everything. If I can get that out there somehow. There'll be some trick to it. Which way is it heading? Yeah, well, we got it out. Yeah, we've got oil on the stick. About halfway up, I think, by that. Got a mark there. Yeah. It's down a bit, but got a pretty fair sump on the thing, so it's probably still got enough to run it. Get that back without putting dirt in and everything. There we go. Right. Should have worked out pretty good. The next thing we've got to do is try and find the diesel tank. It looks like this is the inlet here. And there's the filters for the diesel, so we've just got to find the diesel tank. So just got to follow this hose back to wherever it goes to. It's heading back that way. Looks like this is the diesel tank back here. Get a bit of that dust off out the way. Plenty of dust on it. A lot of threads there. A lot of dust. It's the diesel tank, all right. We're going to get our hose and we'll put in there and we'll try and dip the tank and see if we can see how much is in it. We're just going to dip the tank. I'm not sure if I'm on the bottom or not. It must be bottom there. Yeah, it looks like it's got diesel in it. Up to that mark, so it's got a fair amount of diesel still in it if I'm checking it right. The diesel doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it smells off a bit, but I've smelt a lot worse, so we could add some more diesel to it, I guess, if we wanted. Might liven it up a bit. With any of these old things, we like to put a bit of fuel doctor in the fuel, but on this machine, well, the thing's got about an inch feed line to the engine, 3/4 inch anyway, so we're just going to put a little bit of this in the tank. If it does go, then it might have something here to help clean the injectors or whatever. A bit of old fuel. And we'll stick some fresh diesel in as well. So if it does do anything, well, it's got a bit of diesel there that's, you know, it's going to liven up the old diesel in the tank a bit. It has a bit of fresh stuff put in there with it. Loosen that lid off a bit. Right, it's got that right. We're going to check the oil in the transmission, and I think it says full on this tap here. So if we undo that tap, I'd say it's probably blocked up as dirt. But we'll undo that. It looks like there must be a high and a low measurement on the transmission oil. So I'll just undo this because I think the end of it might be blocked up as dirt. Yeah. Yep, it's still full of transmission oil, so we know we're not going to run it without any oil. But I don't know whether it's got to be, whether it should be checked stationary like it is now, or whether it should be checked when it's actually when the engine's running. And I'd say this here would be the full pipe, the filler pipe. It's got a pretty hefty looking cap on it there. So we know this. Well, we know the transmission is not empty, and I can't see any major oil leaks under the transmission. Whenever I'm looking at this old stuff, if you see a big heap of oil on the ground underneath it, we would probably think, well, yeah, should check that compartment because it might be dry. But this one's looks pretty good. We thought we might pull the rocker covers off and have a bit of a look and see if any of the injectors are stuck. But in this case, I don't think we will because there's that much dirt laying in here and laying in there. So what we might do, we might see if we can unseize this snuff out flap. So if it does start up, it looks like it's going to try and run away, so we can just choke the thing up here rather than pull the tappet covers off. Sometimes people make a bit of a comment, oh, I should clean everything up first before you work on it. But like we are now, we're out in the field, we're miles from home, and we've got no power. It'd be a pretty big task to get in and try and gurney that down or try and clean it down out in the paddock where we are now. So we just got to do the best with what we've got. Sorry. Just have a look out there. We're well and truly out in the bush here in Australia, so we're pretty well on our own here when it comes to trying to get this old jigger going. It looks like it does still have a snuff out flap. I'll put some spray on it. Have to have a tap with a hammer, I'd say. Here's the other end of the snuff out flap. Let's see if I can spray that. That'll suck a bit of WD-40 up. I'll just see if this here is still free. Bit of spray on that while we're at it. No, fully seized. No, it's really seized. Might be the other end might be seized. I've got a feeling this end is moving the slightest little bit. I think it's the other end. We've been working on the seized shaft now for about 10 or 15 minutes without any luck, and we're going to try some of this and put that on the shaft up here, and we're just trying to tap it backwards and forwards a bit. If we can tap it backwards and forwards a bit, we've got a hammer on either side, and we just go and tap it like so. In the hope that it might come loose. Then if it does over rev, we can just close that flap and it should shut down before it does any damage. We'll go around the other side now and tap on the other end. I can feel it twisting a bit. The flap is totally seized, so we're not going to do any good by working on it. So we're going to pull the rocket cover off and we're going to check to see if the injectors are seized. Anyone that knows anything about Detroits know that the injectors can be stuck wide open and rev up and run away. We don't want that to happen. But there's always a fair bit of stuff on these old jiggers. See all the leaves and junk. So we just don't want to pull the tappet cover off and all that stuff fall inside the motor. We don't want to do that. Bit of gravel in here. Just going to get this fire extinguisher I pumped up with compressed air before I left home and see if I can use that to blow some of the dust off around the edge of the tappet cover. There's a couple of places where the blower can't get, so this has got a lot smaller nozzle, so I'll use it to try and chase a bit more dirt off around the tappet cover. Just going to try and lift this tappet cover now. You can see this jam wasn't leaking too much because they've glued it on with araldite or something. It's loose here. More junk stuck down in there. Right, that might have made a bit of difference. Maybe it's hitting on that. And the alternator bracket. Just going to try and pull that split pin so I can pull that other pin out up the front there where the camera's looking now, and then I'll be able to see whether those injectors are stuck or not. That'll be the next move. Right, that one's out. Sit it down there. Right, disconnected that rod. Pull this out the way now. Rightio, now we've got that disconnected. Now, looks to me like they're all seized. Go back to a shorter screwdriver. Pretty hard to see that one. Working well along. Looks like they're seized. Very hard to get at that one on that end. Where am I? That one looks free. That one's tight. It's starting to free up a bit, that. Yep. Right now we're back to the next one. Yeah, that one's seized. It's quite solid to tap on. Yep, starting to let go now. Different sound. You can hear it straight away. It's a different sound. It's a springing, bouncing. Yep, hear that bouncing sort of sound. Before that, it's like tapping on that. Hear how that's solid? Hear how that's springing? That one's springing even more. The trick is not to bang them down too hard in one go when they're stuck, or they might not be able to come back up again. The trick is to just start off tapping them lightly. You can see the spring going down. Is it going to come back up soon? I hope so. Might have trouble with that one. I'll try the last one. I think this one's alright. Yep, it's alright. This is going to be the one. Yep, it's coming good. Yep, looks like it's springing up and down now. Alright, look at that. You beauty. You beauty, they're working. Hooray. 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 Look at that. That's the trick. Don't turn the motor over first, because you might push them down, they might not come back up. Trick is, go along, tap them all till they're springy. If they sound like that, they're no good, they're stuck. If they sound like that bouncy, you can feel it in the punch. That is the trick. So let's try and squirt a bit of spray up. Some people would say it might be a waste of time, but every little bit helps, I feel. If I can get into there, they've all got to be the same, but some are, the coils are probably in a bit tighter spot than others. Right, it's going pretty well. Right, yeah, we'll come back again. I even put a bit of spray underneath the top there. Just going to put this pin back through here. You can see how free the injectors are now. See how that will return on its own. It is going all the way back to where it wants to go. So we're just going to hold that there. There we are. So find the hole in it now. That's it there. Wipe up the split pin with my fingers. Somewhere there's a hole, I think I can see it. Now's when you really need glasses. Now we're right. A little pair of pliers here. Set right through. vibration's going. Right, yeah, we finally made it. And those legs out on there a bit. So it can't come undone. Right, that should be nice and snug there now. Bring that one over a little bit. Right. Rightio, we're going to try and put this tablet cover back on. Right, I reckon we've got it. Just going to line these up with there. Well, Wally, the Wabco, we've done one side, we've got the other side to go. Well, we're on the left-hand bank now, so I'm going to have to actually clean along underneath the edge of that gasket. I want to clean along underneath the edge of that, so when I pull the tablet cover off, I'm not dropping a ton of dirt in the motor, but I'll probably try and get rid of some of this as much as I can. If I can chase it all to the back of the engine. Some quarry rocks and stuff stuck in there. Poof, the wind's blowing too. That rock's been wedged in there for a while. Try and scratch all this dirt out, otherwise if I don't, when the tablet cover comes off, all the dirt will fall in the motor. We don't want that to happen. This is a very slow job. There's glass from a broken windscreen, stones, dirt and oil. There's the oil filler, and a lot of times people would have had trouble tipping it in with stuff in the way. So the dirt's gone down, the oil's settled, and it's all packed in here like really hard. Not as hard as concrete, but still hard. I've worked my way along, so I've got the ends through there. That's a water rail run along the side there. Still something jammed in that part there. Must be a rock or something in there. You've got to have a small screwdriver, you can't get down there. Right, let's get rid of one to go. Scrape a bit more. Get a bit more of a blow in there. Around these like to loosen them a bit. Another bit of a blow around. Stop the dirt falling in. Rightio, finally starting to get somewhere. Just do a check. What it looks like sitting along there. Get my toothbrush in there. Pretty good. A bit more junk just in there. And get the skinny screwdriver. We'll get down in there. Looks like it's been sitting for that long. There's no sign of any oil. It's just dry dirt, but packed in tight. The cleaner I can get all this, hopefully the easier it's going to be to lift the rabbit covers. I'll stop the dirt going in. A massive job to be able to clear down like that all the way along. So hopefully it should make it easier to lift the tappet covers, and hopefully less dirt, less chance of any dirt getting in. And I'll just give that another little bit of a blow down in there. I think I'm really ready for a try. Right. Now we'll see what happens now. Undo all these. There's hardly any headroom on this particular side. This side's probably worse than the other side. For headroom, definitely. It might even be hard to get the tappet cover off, I'm not sure. Everything's pretty stiff. I thought they might have been a bit easier, but they might be harder on this side than the other side. I don't know why that'd be. That one's okay. That one's right. That one's pretty hard. I'll let go soon, surely. You'd think in an area where there's been oil splashing around, they'd be loose as a goose, as they'd say, but they're not. They're tight. Right. Right, up. One more to go here. I think it's up. Right at the back. Right. Right, try and get it up. Try and get it up without breaking the gasket if I can. It's going to be pretty hard to tell whether that's what's going on. Still got rubbish sitting in there. Right on the very corner, it's impossible to see. I'll get the scraper. Got the exhaust rubbing back here. Try something else. Finally. Finally. There you are, finally. Off. Hooray. Yep, they're stuck all right. They are stuck hard. Oh well, same treatment again, I guess. I'll put a bit of spray around them first this time, just make it that little bit easier. Really from the top it would be better, but I can't really do well from the top either because I can't see very well. Maybe it's the thought that counts. Right, back the other way maybe. Yeah, it's a bit tight, but it is coming back. Yeah, it's coming a bit freer. That one's pretty good. Yep, that one doesn't feel too bad. That one, yeah, he sounds more like that. Sounds. I'll shift this drum out my way. Firing stroke maybe that's why it sounds a bit different. Spring's probably compressed a bit more, I think. I can see that one bouncing. Yeah, might be right. Yep, feels a bit better. Don't know if I can hammer it on this side or not because of the exhaust. Feels like it's working. One to go. A bit stiff to start with. Now, can I get round the other side? Yep. You can hear the spring sort of ringing a bit. Plenty of bounce. Now, I might have a little try. See what happens. Yep, they're moving. Yep, they're moving a bit slow, but they are moving. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to spray a bit on those activating rods or whatever they're called. It's an awkward height. Put a bit around here too while I'm at it. No, that won't make any difference. Only be on the ends, won't it? That's a bit easier. If you look hard, you'll see the levers. See the pipe pushing the little levers in and out on the side of each injector. And that's probably the first telltale part that they've seized up. You won't be able to work that lever. But I had to undo take that other pin out that goes across to the governor housing where the throttle lever's on top, because I wasn't too sure whether, and I guess if one side's seized, it probably gives an indication the other side's probably seized. because you still won't be able to turn the mechanism in the governor housing. But of course the other thing is if you just go and tap on the top of them with a punch, you'll soon know by tapping on them and watching them to see where they're going to return when you tap on them. Because I can activate it here now, I think that proves that the other side is free as well. You can actually hear it on the other side. If you're around the other side and you activate it here, you can hear the other mechanism moving on the other side. And before I couldn't move. When I hooked that side back up, I couldn't move it because I suspected this side was seized. So that proves that it actually is. They're both linked together up in that governor box or whatever. So yeah, it's just another thing that anybody that's working on these, I'm just going to put some goo, gasket goo in here. The gasket was stuck to the head, but it's always better, always, to fit the gasket to the rocker cover first. Here we just go and put a bit here and there, will probably be enough. And then if you think of the next mechanic, you go along and you put a bit of grease on the bottom side of the gasket. So the next time it'll break off clean, and the next mechanic will think, you beauty, that gasket is still in one piece. And who knows, the next people might want to set the tappets or adjust the injectors or something, and that makes the job a lot easier. These things will come apart. Right, probably a bit more up there, just in the corner. It's spaced out pretty well. Like that. And flip it straight over onto its back, and that should match up. I'll just give that a little bit of a wipe while I'm at it. Pretty fair shake up to get it off. I'll try and get it clean. That's the top end there. Front end, this is the back end. Right, so I'm going back the other way. Nice gasket too. It's like it's rubber or rubberized cork. It's a nice gasket anyway. Right then, so I can tell by the shape of it. Set it here on its back. And you can see some people would say, there's the witness marks. You can see the way it was on there before. If you really want to double check everything. It should fit into there, yep. Seems to have a tight spot on that water rail. I might even put a bit of grease on that. I've got the water rail, it's tight on the water rail one end, and it's up against the exhaust pipe on the other end. I don't like doing this, but sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. Sorry, GM, just had to be done. I'd be here at midnight, still trying to get it. What are you thinking? Still not work? Make sure that our intermediate lead is going to reach. So we're back to the positive back here again. Positive back there again, and what have we got there? Positive, we've got negative over here. So, lucky we bought our own jumper lead, otherwise we'd be going home. There's no result. Now we have to really push things down that tight and be able to adjust them. We're not making good contact, just blow the poles off the battery. Right, now we need our own little jumper lead here that we bought with us. Lucky we've got that, or we would be in big trouble. That looks like a positive, which it is. The small one here will be the negative. That was just damn lucky. We had that with us. And those things you never know. Probably never need it, but we need on this one. Push that well down. That one there well down. And knit these up too. This one here. Actually, that's a good idea. It's got a positive mark on it. They should have done that 80 years ago, so people could be sure. Poof. Right, might let a bit of dust out. Well, lucky I haven't got my Sunday best on. Now the dash. What do we got? Be nice to see an hour meter somewhere just to see what this, see what Wally's done. What do we got there? An hour meter. It looks like it's got 1,476. So that doesn't mean much. It's probably turned over a couple of times, maybe more. Well, the gears were seized. It looks like it was seized in reverse. Yeah, just moved a bit then. Yeah, it's very sliffed. Right. Something's happening. Yep, getting better and better. Moving up a bit further through the gears now. Righto, we're going through the whole lot now. Started off here and see it's got an R if you look down here. Right over the edge of the seat there. See where there's an R here, that's what was locked in R. What's happened, the paint's dropped off of the R. Right then, so we have got it now so we can actually work the gears. 6-speed. It's pretty tight. So it should do something in neutral. That's got to be in neutral there. But she's dead as a dodo. So I don't know whether somewhere there's probably an isolating switch. We can't get the button to work up in the cab, so being bush mechanics, we've got a new button and some wire and some clips here. So we just had to make this up out on the field. We'll plug that onto the starter or onto the relay on the starter. We're in for the chance if we can try this. We've freed the gears up. The gears were that stiff that, and it was stuck in reverse, which is danger zone in reverse. So then I thought it may have had an isolating switch to make sure that you had it in neutral before it could get power to the starter, which is very common. So anyway, we sprayed everything and wriggled everything until we did get it to go into neutral. We got it to go through the whole 6 forward gears and back to reverse. So all that feels in reasonable condition. So we're pretty sure that we've got neutral. So it's just a matter of plugging this on now and see what happens. With this wire hooked up, well, that'll give us enough room that we can hook that up, stand outside. If she does start up and bolt, well, we'll do a run for it. This is going to be the big moment of truth, whether this thing's going to actually do anything at all. So we're ready for contact. 1, 2, 3. Gear won't engage. There we are, we've got the gear engaged. We've got our fire extinguisher ready now because we saw a bit of smoke drifting around here and we weren't quite sure whether it was diesel smoke or whether it was electrical smoke. So here goes again. Shut it down. We've got a hydraulic oil leak there somewhere out of one of the old hoses, but we'll just give it another start and just see what it starts like now. Well, it's been a pretty big day and it was a fair bit of work getting those tappet covers off and clearing all the dirt away. I mean, could have done it probably sooner, but didn't want to really put dirt in the motor. That's always a bad habit. So anyway, yeah, that was quite exciting after all that work and all these hours of mucking around, and it finally did go. So yeah, it's been quite a good adventure, and the old 12-cylinder GM, Detroit, wherever you come from. Some people call them GMs, some people call the 4-stroke ones Detroit in Australia. So if they were referring to a 2-stroke one like this, they just say, oh, it's a 12-cylinder GM. But if they were talking about a 60 series 4-stroke, they'd say, oh, that truck's got a Detroit in it. So that's in Australia, but in America it's probably different to Australia. And they'd probably call this one a Detroit as well. It is lucky that we freed up the injectors and they were stuck. So that was another job that was well worth doing. It'd be a shame to see an engine like that just rev up and blow to pieces with conrods flying out the side. That's absolute waste in my books anyway. And the way it is there now, if they fix that hydraulic hose, who knows, it might even drive, but we're not going to try and drive it, especially with the hydraulic hose leaking and that sort of thing. So maybe that might be another adventure. And I hope you've had as much fun watching as I have working on it. If you've had any experience with these 12-cylinder ones or the 16-cylinder ones, feel free to leave a comment. Until the next video, I think we'll call it a day and bye for now.